All right, from a couple of Saturday games into Friday night's spectacular from Austin, Texas. Oh, boy. You want to talk about some... Tom, these teams don't have a lot of results in the record book recently. Obviously, the victory, 17-7 for the Texas Longhorns last year, but a long in-state rivalry. Tom, what do we do with those record books?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, it's been a long time since these two teams have really been playing each other. You know, there's been some animosity and leaving conferences and blah, blah, blah. And Texas like, you had to leave the Big 12, and then eventually following them to the SEC because they're like, oh, that check looks nice. So you have to dig really, really deep in the archives so you can find the record book and then throw it out. So this is a really interesting game to me.
Yeah.
If you look at power ratings, and I wrote this, like my power ratings are going up today. Texas A&M at 8th, and if you look around, Texas A&M is typically somewhere between like some have them high in the top 5, most of them have them between 6 and 10. And I feel like we haven't talked a whole lot about how A&M is undefeated, but if you look at their power rating, like we haven't given them the Virginia treatment. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're playing a little bit over their head, not to the level Virginia is, because Texas A&M is still legitimately good, but they're going on the road. They're facing this Texas team, and they're only a 2.5-point favorite, and you kind of get a little, I don't know, the difference between these teams really isn't as big as their records might suggest. And I just wonder, offensively, we have seen this Texas A&M team, it is balanced. It has been good all year long. They've been able to move it through the air. They probably, I would argue, the best like transfer portal hit as far as the receiver position is getting multiple guys in one off season between Concepcion and Craver. Ooh. They have been able to run the ball, although they've been banged up at running back quite a bit at times this year too. But when you know, this is a Texas defense that has been very good all year, except for the last few weeks.
Yeah, except for the last 3 games.
So it's like I come into this matchup, obviously. There's a lot on the line here. Texas A&M's trying to finish undefeated, get to the Atlanta, get to the SEC championship game, play for a first-round bye. Hell, maybe play for the number 1 seed, depending on what happens in the Big Ten championship game. Texas absolutely needs a win to give itself a shot to get into the playoff as an at-large. So there's a ton on the line. These are 2 good teams. I think Texas A&M is better, but it's in Austin. I don't know what to expect. I think that this is going to be a fascinating, entertaining, and fun game to watch. And I don't think it's going to be a rock fight. I think Texas's offense is going to be able to move the ball on the Aggies. I think matchup-wise, there's some stuff they can do here. Whether they can run the ball, I don't know. But I just think that this one's going to be kind of fun, and I'm fascinated. I really have no idea what's going to happen.
Would you agree that the top 8 SEC teams are in some order, like Vandy, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama?
So
yeah, they're all flattened.
But did you just take everybody but Missouri? That was the only name I was listening for that I didn't hear you throw in.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I would say Missouri is probably closer to the top bunch than the bottom bunch, but I'll roll with you if you're just looking for a top half.
So if all the favorites win this weekend and A&M loses, those are the 8 teams who will have a winning record in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite game A&M has played against that top 8?
None. They haven't played it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So this kind of really came to the forefront when we were looking at these conference tiebreakers, because like literally A&M's opponent winning percentage in conference, if they lose to Texas, is .2813. I mean, that's
not good.
No, they win in over a quarter of their games.
I mean, let's make it simple so we don't need to put too much math on them. It is an earlier than usual start, but they are undefeated in
those
conference play.
Those guys are 18-46 in conference.
No, they are undefeated in conference play, 0 in the loss column, and if they lose this one game, their strength of schedule in conference play has been so bad they're out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we
they
clown
lose
Ole
all
Miss.
of the tiebreakers because they've got no head-to-head results against other teams that are in the mix for the championship game, and they played no games against teams that would give them a strong enough strength of schedule. They have to get in the SEC title game at 8-0. That's like the thin margin. And Tom, I will say they have gotten the Virginia treatment. You want to know why? Because we've got an SEC team with an 11-0 record, and no one's asking for them to be number 1.
They were before the South Carolina game. South Carolina game quieted that crowd.
It took
Joey
a long
Galloway was
time
on
for them to get
ESPN
going.
yelling that they should be number 1.
What else from this game?
It's going to come down. Like, I think Texas A&M against this Texas defense will be able to score points, because I do think that the fact that they're able to run and throw the ball and they're balanced makes them much more difficult to slow down, or at least keep out of the end zone completely, even if you slow them down. I do think Texas will be able to score points itself. It's just I don't know that. So it's really going to come down to which Texas offense do we see? Do we see the one that has looked great at times against lesser competition? Or do we see the one that struggles against better competition? Have they finally figured things out? Can Texas A&M tackle on the perimeter? Because that is one thing you absolutely have to do against Texas, because they don't like to play in the middle of the field very often. So can their defensive backs, can their corners tackle? We'll find out.
The commonalities, most of those places have been on the road that they've struggled, specifically Arch, like quietly, because it was such a hot topic early. I mean, to have 30 total touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, he's having a really good year. He's probably not getting credit because it was so lofty expectations. But I think this is a huge game for him to carry some momentum into next season, to show that you can play the same way against a top-tier opponent, or else, he's not going to be under pressure. But there's going to be a lot of people that point out the teams that he struggled against were the good teams on his schedule.
38, 31, 35, 37 points allowed by Texas's defense in the last 4 games. I think this one's going to be how about this one? Ooh, let's see if they'll clip this one. Big game coming up in Austin this weekend. Real quick snap call. Arch Manning or Marcel Reed? Who would you rather have, Danny?
Give me Marcel.
Okay.
Because of the weapons, because he's more mobile in this game.
Bud?
Ooh.
You got Bud in the binder now.
I know you do.
Say it again, clearly.
I think Arch.
So you're going Arch Manning over Marcel Reed for this game. Okay. Tom?
You know what, Chip? I don't think there is a wrong answer. I think these are both fine young men who have done an excellent job leading their offenses all season long. I think that both are worthy of Heisman consideration. I think both will receive votes. And I think that both are going to play great in this game on Friday night.
Give me Marcel Reed. I think that Marcel Reed is playing behind one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. I think his command of this offense has gotten a lot better, and there is something to be said for if Texas's defense allows Texas A&M to stay on schedule, to have like those third and manageable situations where you've got to defend against 2 game-breaking wide receivers, you've got to defend against the run game, and also Marcel doing it himself. This Texas Longhorns defense could be just absolutely put in fits by Marcel Reed in third and short type situations. I'll go Marcel Reed. Not that Arch Manning does not have the same, or does not have similar physical skills to stress a team with the run. I just think that as the quarterback, as the point guard, as the focal point of this offense, I just really like where Marcel Reed in this Texas A&M offense is at. He played, as we've mentioned here, 30 of the worst minutes we've seen from a power conference starting quarterback all season long. And I'm not saying that he turned it all around, but he was able to flush it and not let it stink up the rest of that game against South Carolina and the rest of the season.
They have both had their moments.
Yeah.
In a bad way. And they both had their moments to shine. They are pretty similar.
I do think that like Anthony Hill being out is a big deal for Texas. Like he's
one of the best
players in the country.
Yes. And it's been a situation where you're even looking at the secondary, and you're like, oh man, like Muhammad, like that guy's a player, but like, what about the other side, right? You really need to have a couple of corners that you really trust, and it hasn't always been super consistent in the secondary for Texas, outside of Muhammad. I think that you're looking at being down a couple linebackers where you've still got some dudes there, but it's guys that are being thrust into new positions. But as Tom said, as always, rivalry game.
Throw them out.
Throw them out.